It's a crutch.
Today is the ultimate grudge match.
Ta-da.
We've chosen to battle top 5 American rock bands. We don't know what the other person's going to say.
We don't.
We're going to battle out. We're going to fight our opinions. There's no particular order except for mine are the right ones. Correct? No? Maybe?
We shall see.
This is tough. This was a tough one.
It was hard. I feel like I forgot important ones. I don't know.
We forgot a lot. So, like,
Yeah.
how do you want to do this? You just want to,
Just throw one out, man.
okay, you want to start like you're like number 5, or you want a number 1? Do you want to just no order?
It's no order. It was hard enough without an order.
Okay,
I say we just do it. Throw it out there.
Okay, you go first.
Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
I knew you were going to do something like that. I didn't want to do solo artists, but I get it. I
It's
get
not,
it.
he was solo when he was Tom Petty
No, I get it. I get
and
it.
the Heartbreakers.
Because then I could be like Bruce Springsteen. And no, I can't do that.
I know. He was around the line, but I couldn't. You know how much I love Tom Petty.
Yeah, okay, Tom Petty.
I could not include him in my top
Okay, so
5.
Tom Petty's one of your tops. I can respect that. I get. Is Tom Petty known worldwide? Do you think?
Yes, I
Is
think
he?
he is. I think just his body of hits. Like he had so many hit songs.
Pause. If you're from another country, do you know who Tom Petty is?
Of course.
Wait. Comments? Okay, got it. Okay. Okay, so
If you watch the documentary, they were bigger overseas for a while than they were in America.
what's the documentary called?
Running Down a Dream.
Okay, cool. And what did you tattoo on your arm?
I won't back down. That's right. Stand me up at the gates of hell and I won't back down.
And then the one right here on his thigh is Free Falling.
I only show that to
so-
Baxter, though.
That's a private one.
Forget you heard that.
But okay, so I can't really argue no to that one because like I do love Tom Petty too.
I feel like they perfected like the 2.5 minute radio rock.
And I will say Tom Petty's solo album like Full Moon Fever, that was a life changer for me as a kid when I'm learning guitar and I was like Free Falling and all Running Down a Dream, like oh my god, everyone knows
Right.
Free Falling. That is the 90s Sweet Caroline.
Yes.
You know,
I
Neil
think
Diamond.
though the thing when I'm arguing like for the band, it's
Okay.
Damn the Torpedoes.
Okay.
Refugee, all those songs, man, that was huge.
And Mike Campbell is an unsung guitar hero.
He is.
Like I think I went to college with his son.
Really?
I know, and I
awesome.
And
He's
that's
such a
Mike,
hippie.
And it's Mike Campbell's son. I'm like, who's Mike Campbell? Because I was an idiot and I didn't know any of these. I
A
didn't
lot
know
of people,
names.
right.
And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I think I met him at some point. I just was an idiot. Sorry, son of Mike Campbell, because we think you're awesome now because I'm
do.
smart. Okay,
It's amazing.
I'm gonna just go big off the bat. The Eagles.
Ah.
I would say the Eagles might be our greatest American band as far as, songwriting, the solo artists that it spawned afterwards. It is this is funny. It's not even the Eagles' greatest hits is the #1 selling
Yes.
record worldwide. It just passed Michael Jackson's.
The Eagles were going to be on my list. Luckily, I had a 6th alternate, so that's fine. So I can't really argue.
It's funny that the Eagles are an alternative.
No, well they weren't, but now I'm going to put my alternative in. The
Okay,
Eagles
cool.
were on. They were
Okay,
high
they're
on
on
my
your
list.
list?
They were high on my list.
And this is and I'm not a huge Eagles fan.
I know you're not.
I had to sort of
See, I thought you were going to argue with me on that one
No,
because
it's
I know
tough.
I know how you feel.
I don't dislike them. I just
Baxter hates Life in the Fast Lane with his whole heart.
yeah, I don't really like
It's
that song.
really fun. I don't know why you're hating
But
that
I will-
song, but
I-
he hates it.
But I will say, Hotel California. We know it's a great song, but the bass tone on Hotel California changed my life. That when I heard the bass, I was like,
it's awesome.
I was googling it, trying to call people. How did they get this tone? I still haven't figured it out. If you know how that happened, comment. Let
There's
us know.
some great bass tone on a few of their tunes.
Not
They're
Life
just
in the Fast Lane, though.
No. Like those shoes, that little thing. You're like, yeah.
Well, I mean, and they've spanned the fact that the Eagles are still touring now and they're grossing more now.
Yes.
Like with Vince Gill on guitar, like he's even commenting like, I'm making more playing with the Eagles than I ever made on my solo
Which
tours.
is kind of stupid when you think about it.
When you're paying $360 a ticket, well, back when you had concerts.
Right,
But,
back when those things happened, yeah.
But like the Eagles, it's like their breadth of their library and they sort of, and within Tom Petty as well, I'll give we're trying to capture that Americana, and they're Americana at its finest.
Yes, agreed.
I'll give you that. Hats off the Eagles. Jonathan, give me one.
Agreed.
We're doing our top 5, just so you guys get confused.
I almost didn't pick these guys, but I could not. Leonard Skinner.
God, it's tricky.
Love them or hate them. They were classic rock radio, man. Southern rock is just
okay.
so many songs.
So when we were doing a little talk before this, like Derek and I were talking before, like Skinner came up, and I was like, maybe. God, yeah, okay.
Is there a song in the world that is more often yelled at bands than Freebird?
I don't know if it is anymore. Is it now? Like, not with the COVID stuff. I mean,
My
just in general.
acoustic shows, people are like, play Freebird. And
Really?
sometimes, just because they deserve what they asked for, I do it with a looper on my acoustic guitar, and it's horrendous, and I feel like they deserve it.
I will say, as a young guitar player, when I learned Sweet Home Alabama,
Yes.
that was the greatest besides Stairway to Heaven. That was my first thing.
And even now, when I'm teaching kids, they might not know any of the classic rock songs I'm trying to teach them, but when I play Sweet Home Alabama, I'm like, oh, we can play this with D, C, and G. They know it. They know what it is.
Yeah. So thoughts on Leonard Skinner, Fire 'Em At Us. Okay. I mean, I can kind of give you that one because it was going to be on my list, except I chose the Allman Brothers instead.
Also, we're going to be on my list, but yes, I got you.
So
let's go to them.
It's like, I mean, it's like Live at the Fillmore East is perhaps the greatest live album ever.
I think it probably is. Yeah.
Better than. I can't even think of like any live record that like we can give us your favorite live records too and make your own list. We'll talk about that later. But what they are what I consider like the birth of sort of not just Southern rock, but the jam band culture.
The jam band thing, yeah.
Because like the Grateful Dead's another band. Like I was like, oh, they should be on the list, but like I'm just gonna pick one jam band.
Right.
Because like we, Live at the Whipping Post and Greg
yes.
Allman's voice.
Greg, yes.
And the fact that band, like Dwayne Allman is probably one of the greatest guitar players to ever touch the guitar. And he was so young when he went to heaven. And what he did in that short time, and it transcended like the death of him, and they were able to like sort of have like from Derek Trucks and everybody, and I've gotten to meet Butch and like and to see the band work and how
even now there is still this almost sort of like cult-like family around the brothers and the
there's
people
an
who are
awe
in that.
to the Allman Brothers.
It's almost it is as close to like a religion. The people who are into that. And it's still around the original members' families and Derek Trucks and Warren Haynes and all those guys. And
they're the redneck Kennedys.
Yeah.
To us in America. It's there's almost like a godlike status to.
Yes. Side note, while we're talking about it, maybe we'll get some comments on this. Not top 5 greatest American rock bands, but Tedeschi Trucks Band. There is not a more perfect or better band on this planet today.
Yeah, they're pretty perfect.
They're perfect.
They're pretty.
They're amazing.
And if you haven't heard of them, go check them out.
You please do.
Okay, John, Fire 'Em At Us.
Okay.
What do you got next?
Guns N' Roses.
Ooh, definitely not on my list.
Not on your list.
No.
Appetite for Destruction's not on your list.
Okay, Appetite for Destruction is one of the best rock and roll albums ever.
It's just gotta be.
It's like I'll give you that, but it wasn't on my list.
Okay.
I mean, I get where. Yeah.
So why weren't they on your list?
I don't know.
Because now get it. I am not a huge fan, but I do feel like they're one of the greatest American rock.
No, because like I remember when I had my best friend, like they were neighbors when I grew up as kids. Like we went to Walmart and his dad bought us Appetite for Destruction, and we were listening to it. His dad all got grounded because his dad didn't know it had parental advisory stickers on it after he bought it. We're listening like Mr. Brownstone and stuff.
Yes.
Like, do you even know what that is? I'm like, yes, it's heroin. But
Dad's like, cool, all right,
okay,
carry on.
I mean, Appetite for Destruction. Maybe why it's not the greatest because like to me, I remember being a kid when their debacle of their rise and then Axl's just I know being a rock star because I love Oasis and their whole career was a debacle of just like personalities, but Axl they could have been the biggest band. Like
it could have been even bigger.
They're like our Led Zeppelin, but then the output of their stuff. I didn't like Use Your Illusions.
I didn't really either.
It's this Appetite's it.
It's really I'm hanging my hat.
So that's why it's hard for me because then I could be like,
I get that.
That's why that'd be like, I love the band Television, but they have one good record.
Right.
It's like
I guess in my brain, Slash just sort of transcended. Like he's been with all these pop stars, and if you see a silhouette of a dude with a Les Paul and a top hat, I don't care who you are in the world, you probably know that's Slash.
Slash is the most iconic Les Paul player. Like that, most young people more so than Jimmy Page even now.
I would say so.
It's that top hat, the hair, and if you want a snake, he's American.
American.
Awesome.
And to me, like if you're the best American band, you got to kind of be a badass. And I feel like Guns N' Roses, Skynyrd, they sort of embody because when Guns N' Roses came out, it was like all the hair bands and like let's wear makeup and tight leather and that's cool if that's what you want to do. But then here's Guns N' Roses, and they're like, we will beat your I feel like that's That's it.
Okay, so we don't even know what ranking we're doing right here. This is
We're
one of
just
our
talking.
top 5. Okay, top
We're
5.
spitballing.
Let's see.
We don't script these things, obviously.
No.
In case you guys wondered.
Okay. Aerosmith. I know you don't like Aerosmith that much.
It's not. I just.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go. This is why I choose Aerosmith. They've been around forever.
They have.
Their catalog, and it's not just like young Steven Tyler to old team. It's not that much of a difference. He looks better now. He's more attractive now in a weird way.
Except for those pictures where he's like hair up and
Don't make fun of his hair being up. I love his hair
up. Listen,
Steven, I think you're the most attractive.
I think he's a wonderful human being. I just think the pictures, the memes where it's like, oh, my grandma, I think those are hilarious.
I don't watch these memes. But I'm gonna say from their early stuff that we love to what they did when they bridged rap with Run DMC.
Yeah.
That was pretty much groundbreaking. The days that MTV actually played music videos and people watched that. No one had seen like hip hop culture and rock and roll sort of combined like that. But they're hits. And the fact that they stayed, from their heroin like fallouts of the late '70s, and then they came back and they pumped. When they came back in the '90s with that, and that was one of their top selling records ever. Love in an Elevator. What is that?
I just remember being a kid watching MTV and like VH1, and it was like the Crazy and like where it's like Alicia Silverstone and his.
But that's where they came back again. Armageddon.
Kid Jonathan thought that was amazing. I was like, oh, this is the best band ever. But
I know it is tough. Like I don't like that music now.
Right.
But the fact that they
still like some of the.
But
early
they stayed
things.
relevant.
They did.
Like Journey and Styx and stuff like that. Like they're great bands, but they didn't keep creating. Even though they tried to keep their bands, it's not even some of the great other bands. I'm not going to mention names. But they have kept creating. They're still like generating like fans, and they're pretty monstrous as far as success. Next.
Let me peek at my list here. Nirvana.
Yeah, that's a tricky one too. I get it.
I will say I'm not like a crazy Nirvana fan. I just feel like it's hard not to argue that they changed music at the time when they came out. And I do feel like they still have a huge following. Even when I get kids sometimes and their parents are like obsessed with grunge and Nirvana, and these kids are like super into everything Kurt Cobain ever did, and then you got the spinoff with, Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters. I mean, it's just...
The spinoff with who?
Good old Dave Grohl. I've been told that I may favor him.
I'm just saying.
Once or twice.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to pick any band that, like, sort of put, like, an end to one period of music and start, this is the death of hair metal, the birth of grunge, and disillusionment with American culture and society of the early 90s. Like, you had Warrant, which was sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Right.
Posters on, like, the head of the studios.
Yep.
The next week, Nirvana's on there.
Bam.
Warrant knows their days are over.
Yes.
And Nirvana did. I'll give you, Nirvana's pretty. It wasn't on my list.
And there's, I mean, it's just a very American thing and a very American trend. I feel like from the Pacific Northwest and I mean, it's just
And they are like. There's no argument. They are grunge.
They are grunge.
They are the personification. And you still to this day, you can go watch "Smells Like Teen Spirit" video. It holds up.
It does.
Some of those videos do not hold up stylistically.
Some don't.
Like I like Alice in Chains, but some of those videos are a little bit dated. But that "Smells Like Teen Spirit," or I mean, pretty much all Nirvana's videos and all of their music still holds up.
Still holds up.
And it was such a short time. And the next band that I'm going to pick is very similar to that band, but of a different decade. The Ramones. I will say the Ramones are one of the greatest American rock and roll bands ever because they are the birth, this is going to cause some controversy too, of real punk music. Like the birth of punk. All the other bands were sort of copying it. I love the Sex Pistols. I love the Clash. I love it. The Ramones, like when you think of punk, like you think of Blitzkrieg Bop.
It's true.
That's it. Did they sell a lot of records? No. Like I know.
Thank God.
No, but I mean,
there's going to be some hate from both
that's
sides.
Okay. They're supposed to be.
Definitely not on my list.
No, well, it's not.
But
I mean, I love the Velvet Underground too, but
right.
I had to choose Velvet Underground, Ramones. Like Ramones, I think without the Ramones, there's not Green Day. There's not like the idea of this whole sort of punk attitude of we need to have that. I'm flipping off camera. Just you have to have young people doing that to society, and then also the music was all it was 50s pop music, like rock and roll music sped up. If you sort of think about the whole form of it, it's 1-4-5, fast power chords. the guitar player didn't even use the top two E and B strings sometimes because he didn't play solos half the time. It doesn't matter. It was the energy and the flavor, capturing a movement of the youth. It's, you know, it's post-hippie stuff. And like we're into this, and it birthed a new genre of music that is arguably still here today. Whereas like, you know, grunge birthed grunge, but then grunge kind of went away.
Grunge kind of went away.
You know, it's kind of like disco went away too.
Right.
But so I'm a big Ramones fan.
I was aware.
Yeah, so
I was
the
aware of
Ramones.
those things.
I think we're kind of coming to the end. We might have like one more.
You know, the Eagles and the Allman Brothers were on my list.
Do you have like?
But I had an honorable mention.
Okay, is this your? Cause I have one more big one. But go on.
I thought about putting the Black Crowes on my list.
Ooh, that's a tricky one. The Black Crowes. I will disagree.
I mean, it's hard to argue. They're not as iconic, I don't feel like, as the other bands we're talking about.
Not at all.
But I just love them, and I just feel like they had a ton of hits.
I mean,
I don't know.
I love the B-52s, but I can't.
Who doesn't love the Rock Lobster?
I love everything about them. I think the band, they're gorgeous, they're hilarious, they're funny. REM was an honorable mention for me as well.
Okay. All right.
I have a ton of honorable, like REM.
Yeah.
U2. God, we weren't supposed to laugh at that. We have a lot of honorable mentions, but the one that I think you're not gonna like it, the Beach Boys. And like they have a breadth of work, but we just have to say Pet Sounds. Pet Sounds is perhaps one of the greatest American art pieces of rock and roll. I know it's hard for you because Brian Wilson definitely did not wear a flat-billed cap. He didn't have a beard until the crazy years.
Really got crazy.
Crazy and like gigantic.
Fine.
Which you're like, oh, I like him more now.
Oh, it's great.
It's
but I just can't. I just can't do it.
I mean, you just don't like that type of music.
I just don't.
So I'm a Beatles junkie as well, and that was like, you know, when Paul and John heard that album, it was like, that's the greatest album ever.
They listened to all our American music, so we could argue the Beatles are but
they're pretty much American.
Please don't say too many horrible things to me. I'm only mostly kidding.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's, you know.
No for you?
Boys. I mean, it's a no for me. in the words of Randy Jackson, it's no for me, dog. But
it's funny because I love American Idol. Old American Idol with Paul Abdul, like classic.
With Aerosmith
I still watch it on YouTube. Hilarious.
Steven Tyler there. But no.
I'd say like the fact that the Beach Boys, like most people that are into the Beach Boys understand, but like if you're not, like Brian Wilson was the Beach Boys, like what the Beach Boys became during the Full House period, you know, in the '90s is not the Beach Boys. That was really that was them, but it wasn't. Brian Wilson was a creative force, so I almost put him.
He is. I mean, I understand that he's a genius. I understand they did a thing. It was huge. I
like watching you struggle.
Don't like it at all. That's all.
Because like, you can't really argue like the brilliance of it. It's like I just don't like it.
It's just that I hate everything about it.
I don't like broccoli.
No.
Because I mean, the Beach Boys Pet Sounds is kind of broccoli.
Yeah.
In some ways, it's like it's so tense and not it's so not tense. It's just deep.
There are no words. He's saying.
No, but it's a very deep production. Like
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the first stereo productions.
Right.
It's just what that young man came up with all the mental psychoses he was developing and the war with his father. You know, I just find that record phenomenal, and it sort of blows my mind. Okay.
With it, I had one more honorable mention.
Go for it. Fire.
CCR.
Okay. That's on some people's top list.
I feel like just their body of work, John Fogerty.
It's yeah. That's
he almost made my list. But
that's a good one. So yeah, at the end of the day, we have tons of honorable mentions. But what we want you guys to do for fun, if you've made it this long in the video, give us your top 5.
Tell us why we're wrong.
And tell us and get it started. You know, we want to see like top 5 from everyone on there. You know, one of the things we talked about earlier too is like obviously Kiss, the most recognizable American band in the world. The most recognizable band in the world.
You see the makeup, everyone knows.
It doesn't matter if it's Gene Simmons or if it's Jonathan Robinson behind that makeup, but you recognize that makeup, and you know that's Kiss.
That's right.
It's 100 million records sold.
Yeah, 100 million records. I think Eagles can do that in a minute. And they're like, oh, that was yesterday.
But I mean, you know, yes, you can make a good argument for Kiss.
But I don't judge things on records sold because that doesn't mean quality all the time either.
No.
So I mean, if we're talking about commercial success, we got to start bringing in Nsync and Backstreet Boys. Those are bands technically, and they're American.
They play instruments.
They can all. No, Lance bass plays guitar. They did in some of their shows every once in a while. So I'm very versed on Nsync. I've seen them all live. They're phenomenal bands. And Backstreet Boys, way better than people give them credit for. Way better.
You're not wrong.
Those boys could sing.
You're not wrong.
I was next to, get this, when I saw Backstreet Boys live, I was next to Tiffany in the audience. Tiffany. Tiffany. I think we're alone now. Oh, God.
My friends plays bass for Tiffany now.
Oh, my God. See, that's why we're together now.
That's why we're together.
That's why we're free falling.
It's free.
Let us know. Seriously, your list. Comment. Subscribe.
Let us know. Hit the bell.
Bell.
Don't miss our videos.
Thanks,
It's
guys.
wonderful info like this all the time.
Casino TV, 24 hours. Bam.